Hello, everybody. This is Diane. Welcome to Biters.
And this is Marnell. Be careful, I'm contagious even over the airwaves.
Nice shiner. Call me sweetheart again, and I'll give you another one to match.
Yours is from the show. Mine's legitimately like I've been sick, and as soon as I started talking to Diane over the mic, she started to sneeze. So
She totally infected me.
yeah, I'm sorry if any of you start to get a sinus infection after this.
And I don't have much paid time off, so I'm going to blame you.
Maybe we should post this episode later in the week so that everyone
So,
has the weekend off.
actually, no, people would probably appreciate getting sick at the front half of the week so they're not wasting their weekend.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I hate being sick over the weekend, especially if it's a nice weekend.
Well, biters, I have realized that my sound has been really quite variable, quite fluctuating over the last few episodes. So I'm trying a new mic position tonight and hoping that I'm not quite so hard on your ears.
I don't notice. I guess it's because I do the episode with you, so maybe I hear it differently, or that's not what I'm paying attention to. I don't
I
know.
think it's the difference of doing the recording versus listening to the recording.
Yeah, I don't generally go back and listen to us just because I hate my listening to myself.
I do because I enjoy The Walking Dead.
But do you enjoy Fear the Walking Dead? Because a lot of people haven't lately.
Well, I have to say, you're taking us right into numbers. And
Hmm.
for season 5, episode 8, is anybody out there? I think I may have given it the highest rating I've given one this season.
Not my highest rating, but definitely an improvement over the last two
I'm
episodes.
not sure it's my highest because I didn't go back and look at my notes, but I gave it 4.372 bloody shower drains out of 5.
Wow, you rated it higher than me again.
Oh,
I
no, you have been capping on me the last couple of episodes about rating lower than you.
I don't know. I just again, this is another for a mid-season finale. This is a very blah episode and we will get into it. But I rated it a 4.1 candy wrappered rings.
Oh, very sweet.
Yes.
So I do have some numbers. The headline at tvbythenumbers.com was Fear the Walking Dead rebounds.
Of course, it's the mid-season finale.
So it was actually number 3 for Sunday night in cable. It was behind Big Little Lies
Of
and
course.
90 Day Fiance, which I just, if you can't beat 90 Day Fiance, ouch.
I don't know. I saw the advertisements for the 90 Day Fiance. I don't know if it was like their mid-season finale or season finale, but it looked like a pretty like cliffhangery
Oh
episode.
my God, you're going to tell me you're going to watch it.
No, I'm not.
Oh,
I just do not have the time. In fact, I texted a friend the other night and I was like, okay, I need another 1 hour series to watch in the bath because like I'm all out of series that I haven't watched, but my other half has. And so I think we settled on Star Trek Voyager because I've never watched Voyager or Deep Space Nine, but I
oh,
love.
Deep Space Nine. It was really good. It was probably my
Okay,
favorite Star Trek series.
and I was like, dude, you're gonna have to convince me that Voyager's a better one to go into than Deep Space
I
Nine
mean,
because
Dax and Kira, come on.
yeah. So we'll see which one I land on.
Ugh,
Maybe I'll watch the one of each.
Deep Space Nine. All right, so our numbers for this episode of Fear the Walking Dead, it was up by 2/10 over the series low in the 18 to 49 group. And I can't remember if the series low was last episode or the episode before. I think it was the episode before. The
I want to
over,
say it was the last episode.
I think it was the episode before.
It might have been because again we're ramping up to a mid-season finale,
Hmm.
so more and more people start to actually watch live.
So there were 1.599 million views, about a half million in the 18 to 49 group, and I went ahead and wrote down the number on IMDb. It was an 8.6, and the low for the first half of the season was The Little Prince, which was 7.2.
Mm-hmm.
And I think The Little Prince was actually the one that had the series low in the 18 to 49 viewership.
Mm, you're right. Yeah, The Little Prince was the second to last episode because the one before this one was still standing.
Mm-hmm. So, our title, did you have anything special about the title?
It's a Pink Floyd song.
It made me think of a Pink Floyd song too. I think
So,
the title is actually "Is There Anybody Out There?" or the lyric "Is There Anybody Out There?"
and that's what the title of the episode is.
No, this is anybody out there?
Oh, okay.
Very
You're right.
subtle, very subtle,
Yep.
but it did make me
Yep.
think of Pink Floyd as well.
Yeah, because of course last episode was Still Standing, which was an Elton John song.
Oh, give me Pink Floyd any day.
I like actually went back and I was like, okay, do we have any other song lyrics in this season? I'm
Oh
like,
my God, that's really funny.
Humbug's Gulch, nope. Skidmark, nope.
Did you watch Talking Dead? We found out where Skidmark got his name.
Yes, that was a hilarious story, and this is why I miss Talking Dead during the season.
You know, it was not like this fantastic episode of Talking Dead, but I was so happy to have it back.
Right.
I didn't
Yeah.
write down a lot from it. I didn't take a lot away that I felt like we needed to talk about here, but it was just really nice to have it back.
Yeah, I didn't either. It was just, again, I love seeing all the little tidbits, like with Emilio and his kind of insight to his character, saying that, you know, he was kind of already on the road to helping others out because he felt that he had to kind of balance the scales after being a savior.
Did you also love that Chill gave his hat to that audience member?
That was good.
Yeah.
That was good. And I just a weird side note. I don't know if it was me. They took away the couch and they put in two chairs
Right.
for Jenna
So they could
Elfman.
get his wheelchair in.
So yeah, and I'm like, I like the chairs. I think they should put 3 chairs in next time.
Alrighty then. I think the couch is a little more comfy, but
I don't know. It would like you wouldn't have to like actually like sit next to Marilyn Manson where your leg touches him, but
there are some people who would think that's pretty cool.
just saying, chairs are an option now.
You and I may not be in that number, but there are some people who would pay to touch Marilyn Manson.
And what's funny is, like, for as bad as he was on The Talking Dead, that one episode, he was really good in Ride. Like, so I'm like, I don't know, was he just having a bad night, or was Ride a good day, or I don't know. So I was being funny about Marilyn Manson. There's probably a couple of other people that I could have pointed out, but Marilyn, like Stephen Ogg, I would love to touch thighs with him.
On Marilyn Manson, I just think, which night were the drugs good?
Right? Exactly.
All right, so our writer was a guy named Michael Alimo, I think. Alimo. I don't think it's Alamo, even though we're in Texas.
Alimo?
Alimo? Maybe that's it. It's probably not Alimo. I wouldn't pronounce my name Alimo if that were my name. So Alimo, you're probably right.
Okay.
I'm good with that. All right, 8 Walker credits. Oh, I'm starting out on a roll tonight. 8 writer credits. First episode of Fear this time around, but he has been the co-executive producer on all 8 episodes that we've seen so far this season. He is known for really only a couple of things that I've heard of, which doesn't say a whole lot, but Major Crimes,
Heard of it, haven't watched it.
The Closer, which I love Kira Sedgwick. I just never got into The Closer. He also wrote a 2003 episode of Columbo, which was actually broadcast as a film on ABC's Thursday Night at the Movies. It was like the last thing ever that was broadcast with Columbo.
Huh.
So I recognize that.
I recognize the show Frequency because it was based off of the movie Frequency, but I never actually watched the show.
Oh, I haven't heard of the movie.
It was a pretty good movie.
What was it about?
Uh, Guy starts talking on like a ham radio thing, and somehow he figures out that the guy that he's talking to is his dad who died in the past. And you have that whole do I warn my father of his impending death
All
and
right.
change history?
I vaguely remember that plot line. Wasn't
Okay.
Dennis Quaid in that?
Yes.
All
Yes.
right. I do remember
And
that plot
so I'm
line.
like, how do you make an entire series out of that unless you just talk to other people from the past? I don't know.
There you go.
Now I want to go read a bunch of synopsis on the show Frequency.
So I actually did write in my notes this guy could come back to the franchise anytime.
Agreed.
I
This
felt
was a
like
pretty
he,
good episode.
yeah, I mean, I felt like he took some really problematic story arcs and actually did a little bit of rehabilitation.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind seeing him come back and do some more work on Fear. Maybe we can continue to scrub out the not so great first half of the season that we've had.
Well, if you've done any reading on what they've talked about for the back half of season 5, apparently our world is about to change.
I have not. So do you want to tell us now or do you want to save it for later?
Of course, they're being a little bit cagey about everything, but basically everything that you think you know is going to happen is totally wrong. And the world, there's a bigger world out there and more things, and they just teased a whole bunch of stuff that's really cryptic like that.
They being the
And
showrunners or
yeah. So
so what I will say is that even though I liked this episode, there was still quite a bit that was pretty predictable.
mhm.
So I'm not sure that I'm buying into the whole everything you think you know is wrong thing.
Yeah, unless I mean, one of the things that I read kind of sounds like they were gonna do basically a full reboot again. And I'm like, well, we're all kind of complaining that we had no major cast deaths in season 5A. So maybe they're going to kill a whole bunch of our characters and reboot again. Maybe they're going to kill off the remaining original characters.
Again, I'm struggling with the idea that they can haul it out. I mean, I have to give these showrunners credit. I really did like season 4. We've talked about that a lot. But right now, I don't have a lot of faith in these showrunners.
I don't know. I could totally see them doing it. I mean, who a couple years ago, whoever thought that they would kill Madison? We talked about it like, yeah, oh, that would be great if they just killed everyone off and rebooted the entire. Well, they totally did that. And I could see them doing that again. But on the other hand, we do have a second spinoff coming that's kind of gonna introduce us to a whole bunch of stuff. So they may just kind of go with the safety of what we know already with our group. So it could go either way.
And I don't see the need to kill off a bunch of people in this group. I see the need to give this cast some scripts that are worthy of acting.
Yes. Yes, definitely.
So much for being more positive. Well, our director was Michael Satrazemis.
Of course.
Not going to say anything more than that. So I'm going to take a moment to selfishly talk about a couple of books that I have really enjoyed and about a podcast that I highly recommend.
Oh, yes. You've been texting me all week.
All right. So if anybody is interested in a new podcast, this is about 6 episodes long, maybe a little bit longer when you add in some of the updates. But it is a podcast that's been out for a little over a year called Dr. Death. It is so good.
So is it about like one Dr. Death, or is it about like what do they call the medical personnel who kill people?
No. It's about one guy.
Okay.
So this guy was a neurosurgeon in Dallas. And There is a lot of debate about how much experience he actually had in neurosurgery before he set himself up in a private practice.
Oh my God.
Right? In neurosurgery, apparently he had like a tenth of the amount of time in surgery as a student that people in neurosurgery residencies actually typically have. He
Whoa.
killed or maimed 33 people in Dallas.
Wow.
I will just give you a little teaser, okay? He actually, while he was doing surgery on a guy's C-spine, on a guy's neck, punctured his esophagus, and instead of actually dealing with it, shoved a surgical sponge into the hole and sewed the guy back up.
What? Oh my
I
God.
kid you not.
Okay, so here's the thing. Like, you kind of like, especially like here in Juneau or here in Alaska, you kind of go to like whatever doctor specialty is that doctor in town. Like, we have a sleep specialist and we have a spinal specialist and we have an intern, but we don't, there's not a lot of them. There's maybe one or two. And so you go to that person. And I feel that people do a lot more research on getting the doctor that does their breast implants than the doctor that does their cervical spinal surgery.
You're probably right.
It's just the thing, because it's like you see botched plastic surgery all the time and people warn you about like, oh, don't, do your research, don't go to like a cheap doctor or whatever. But like, you generally trust like the neurosurgeon in your town. Maybe because it's the only one, or maybe it's because like they've seen hundreds of patients, and yeah, maybe they only screwed up like 30 surgeries, and that seems like a high average, but
this was like 33 of 38.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Wow.
So, the thing that I came away with as both a patient and as a healthcare provider who refers my patients to other healthcare providers is that we really have this high level of trust that the referrals that we're getting and the referrals that we're giving are good referrals.
I know. Sometimes it's really hard. I've referred other services to like a car detailer, something as simple as a car detailer, to friends that, I've had a good experience with this car detailer, and like the car detailer like totally screws up my friend's car or like overcharges them. And like, I feel bad for making that referral. I could not imagine as a doctor making a referral to another doctor and having that doctor like totally botch a surgery or yeah.
Well, if you want to be utterly horrified by medical malpractice and by how this guy got away with so much for so long,
who doesn't?
Listen to Dr. Death. It was horrifying. I couldn't stop listening.
Oh, I'm not going to sleep tonight.
All right. And then before we move on to our featured cast, because I wanted to talk about these books, I read 2 really good books in less than a week. So the first one was called American Predator, and it is about a serial killer named Israel Keys. Who actually committed his last crime in Alaska.
Yep.
He abducted an 18-year-old girl who was working as a barista from a coffee shop, from a coffee kiosk, and was horrible. I mean, the violence that he put this poor girl through and the degradation, it was awful. And the panic that the community went through with this random abduction.
Right.
I remember it pretty well.
I do too. I've seen many things on him before, and the level of premeditation that he had surrounding the other deaths that
my God.
He is alluded to before, spoiler alert, before he committed suicide in prison.
Right. They think they've tied him to 11 killings, but they only have like definitively identified 3 of the victims.
Right. Around the U.S. So here's the thing is he was
Chills
so premeditated. He was so premeditated. He would fly to like California and then rent a car and drive to Utah so that it would just show him flying to California when he wouldn't be connected to Utah. And he would have 10-gallon Home Depot buckets of kill kits just buried in places around the U.S. So
Right.
he could
That
go
he had
someplace
buried years before
years ago.
he
Yeah.
actually went to commit the crime.
Yeah, and so he'd have like guns and ropes and
And
just
money from
and
bank
money. Yeah.
robberies. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean this guy just diabolical. I'm glad he's like no longer a member of the human race anymore. I'm a part of our population, but like he's one that I would have loved to have had them study. Like
So the FBI agents who
oh,
worked the case said that they really felt like he was one of the most dangerous serial killers that they had ever come across because he had no victim type. He totally chose his
right,
victims at random, and it wasn't like Ted Bundy who picked college girls with hair straight and parted down the middle. I mean, he was
right.
like random couple in Vermont, random prostitute in New York, 18-year-old barista in Anchorage, Alaska.
Yep.
So it was completely crazy. And the level of premeditation for the killings, absolutely.
And he was one of those people that you live next door to, and you're like, no, that couldn't be him.
Right.
Like,
Dude was a well-known contractor and a
yeah,
single dad.
I thought he had a girlfriend.
He also had a girlfriend, but she
Okay.
was not the mother of his child.
Okay. Yeah, because like he
And
kept
she
the
was not
barista.
involved in
No.
also the girlfriend was not involved in parenting the child. I mean, he really was a single parent.
Okay. I just know that like everyone was like, how did she not know that he was
Right.
keeping the barista in the shed outside in like
Right.
November?
No,
Yeah.
it was actually March, but yeah.
Okay. I just remember that it was still freezing cold
Yes.
out.
Yes. So I know this isn't my favorite murder, but folks, if you're interested in a really creepy, ripping good read, American Predator, the other book that I wanted to talk about really fast, The Devil's Defender. So this book is actually written by one of the guys who was a defense attorney for Ted Bundy.
Oh, yes.
And it's not just about that case, although he talks quite extensively about it. It's a little bit more about just his career as a public defender and his opposition to the death penalty. And he was a really interesting guy. I really enjoyed the read. It was a good read.
Huh. That one would be interesting. I really liked the Netflix show where
Yes.
Zac Efron was Ted Bundy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a quick thank you before we head into featured cast to Shenandoah Grand Poobah Gore. She said, just in reference to the Hillbilly Elegy, the book that I talked about a couple of weeks ago, did you see her message?
Yes, you pronounce it Appalachia, like the Appalachian Mountains, but the people and the culture is Appalachian.
And she said, I will throw an apple at you if you do it again.
Yep. I think I remember that from the episode of Ride with Norman Reedus, where they went to went and talked to a bunch of people around in the area. So yeah.
I definitely appreciated being schooled. I will try. I will always remember apple at you.
Yep. That is definitely a good way to remember it.
And I did finish Hillbilly Elegy before I went off on my little serial killer tangent, and it was quite a good read, too.
So you have 4 weeks until Fear the Walking Dead comes back.
No,
And I think,
we've only got 3.
well, yeah, okay, 3. I feel like it's 4,
No, they come back on the
Okay.
11th.
which is like 4 weeks.
No, darling, it's already the last week of July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today is
And then
the
there's
23rd.
2 weeks into
The 30th. Okay.
Seriously, it's like 3 weeks.
okay.
I
So-
really can count sometimes.
Sometimes. So you have that long to listen to 6 hours of podcasting and read 2 books.
And we need to decide what we're going to do, but we'll talk about that offline so people don't have to listen to us yammer too much.
Too much more.
Yeah, so Sunday the 11th is when they come back,
Okay.
when Fear comes back. And October 6th is when Walking Dead comes back.
Yeah, and I think don't they go straight from Fear to Walking Dead Prime?
I'm not sure if there's a break or not. I can't remember hearing about that.
Yeah, I don't think there is one.
Okay, I just have to gripe for a minute.
Nosferatu?
No. So the
Okay.
husband has known. The husband knows that the Cold and Dead Inside Club meets every Tuesday at 6 or 6:30 depending on how late we're running. Did he feed the dogs tonight before I got home? No. That's why the dogs are barking because they're a little bit miffed that they haven't been fed yet.
Oh.
Yeah. So, I'm a little bit miffed that they haven't been fed yet.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh,
No, I saw that everyone was totally ticked off that they had to wait an extra hour for Talking Dead because we were forced to watch Nosferatu again.
thank you. I was too. I griped on the Facebook page and got joined by a couple of people. Thank goodness.
I still have not watched the episode 2, so of course I didn't watch, the Nosferatu that was on between the episodes. So I really do want to give it a shot, but again, I still hate it when they shoehorn a show in between Walking Dead and talking.
Okay, I allowed that Drek to play on my television while I was waiting for Talking Dead to come on. It was awful. Awful.
Really?
Oh my God.
Oh, that's funny. I don't, I may, like I said, I want to watch the second episode. I want to give it a shot, but Zachary Quinto's going to be in it, and I love Zachary Quinto. So
Dude should have stuck with Spock. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, yeah, or American Horror Story. You can always go back. It's an anthology.
Right? Ugh. All right, featured cast. So we decided that we would talk about the couple of folks who are joining the main series for season 10.
We did decide that, but I completely misunderstood what we decided.
All right, I decided that, and you read the message wrong.
I did. How did you phrase it? The new season of Walking Dead, and I thought you said new series of The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I said something like the new season of the main series.
I researched the two chicks from the new series of The Walking Dead, and you researched the two new characters on Walking Dead Prime. Oops.
Oops is right. So we're going to talk about the people from Walking Dead Prime.
Yes, we are. But Diane's going to do most of the talking.
Well, I figured I would just touch on them briefly because I suspect at some point we'll do them as featured cast for the main series. So I just wanted to mention that Thora Birch, who I know from American Beauty.
I know her from Hocus Pocus, Now and Later, Patriot Games.
Now and Then. I remember her
now
from
and then.
Now and Then.
Yes,
yep.
Now and Then.
And I remember her from the Patriot Games movies too, Clear and Present Danger and Patriot Games.
Yeah, she has a long history of acting at her still young age.
But I have got to tell you, I looked at the most recent headshot on IMDb and I thought, oh my God, I don't recognize her. And then I went back and looked, and American Beauty came out 20 years ago this year.
Mm-hmm.
Which made me feel really old because for the longest time, I really identified with the main character in that movie. Really identified with Lester Burnham.
And I thought she was much younger than she is. She's actually only 3 years younger than me. So she's old.
That's terrible. So she is playing a character called Gamma, who is not a character in the comic books, but she is described as a whisperer who is, quote, fiercely protective, end quote, of Alpha and committed to the whisperer way of life.
Oh, no. That means she's not long for this world, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't see them pushing the Whisperers past season 10, but
I think if she's that committed to Alpha, then she's got to go too.
Right. They're not presenting her as someone who could be rehabilitated and brought into the main group.
Right. Right.
Although, who knows? Look at Negan.
Stranger things have happened.
So that is just a very brief snippet about Thora Birch, and I'm sure we will end up talking about her more at some point. And then a gentleman named Kevin Carroll is also going to be joining the cast, and he's going to be a character named Virgil, who is described as a resourceful survivor who is desperate to get home, which is
Hmm.
pretty much just about any of our survivors.
Right. And he has been in an episode of Law and Order.
He has actually been in Law and Order SVU, and Law and Order Criminal Intent. And Virgil is also not in the comic books.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know him from much.
but I did think of you because did you see what he was in that you just watched?
Lucifer?
Velvet Buzzsaw.
Velvet Buzzsaw, was he?
Mm-hmm.
Detective. He wasn't even given a name. He was just detective. Hmm.
Now you'll have to watch it again.
No, I will. Or at least go through his IMDb photos and see if I can find him.
Have you watched The Meg yet?
I have not. You know, what's funny is I was just thinking today there was something I was gonna watch that I cannot remember when we were talking about our other cast members from seasons past. The Meg.
We may
Oh.
have to watch it and talk about it, even though
We
it's
may.
not my typical movie.
I promise if we do this, I will watch it first and let you know
Oh my god,
if it's
that's
worth
so
our time.
funny.
Oh,
Anyway, that's really all I had for featured cast because, again, I didn't want to talk about them too much because I figure we'll know more about them as the characters develop.
right. They will probably be featured cast members in season 10.
Yeah, but welcome to Thora Birch and Kevin Carroll.
Yes.
Now they're
And
members of the Walking Dead family and we'll never let them leave.
also, welcome to Aaliyah Royale and Alexa Mansour, who are the two people that I researched who are going to be in the as yet named Walking Dead spinoff.
Who
I
we
did
may
some-
end up talking about in the very near future if we don't have more cast members to talk about.
Right? Exactly. Two young women who don't have a lot under their belt, so this will definitely be a big jumpstart to their careers.
I'm looking forward to the new series. I definitely want to watch it.
I do too, considering it was described as basically Lord of the Flies in the zombie apocalypse.
Ooh, right up your alley.
Right?
All
I'm
we
like,
need is a serial killer, and then it would be perfect.
well, maybe Gamma will go over to their group. All right. So,
Okay.
Whisperer's Corner. I'm sure we have a ton of it considering Comic-Con just ended.
There is a lot. So the
A
first
lot.
thing that I wanted to talk about was the season 10 trailer that they released for Comic-Con.
Yes. Man, was there a lot packed in that thing.
There was a lot packed in, and I just kind of wrote down little phrases to describe what they were. So I don't know if you want to talk about particular things or if you just want to go through it piece by piece or
Both of those things.
so we open at what appears to be Oceanside.
Mm-hmm. With all
And-
of Jerry's kids and dog. And when I say Jerry's kids, I don't mean the muscular dystrophy kids. I mean literally Jerry has like 9 kids.
Now I'm confused. Who's Jerry?
The guy who guards the king.
Oh, I totally wasn't connecting. Jerry. And let's see, we have a little bit of Alpha doing a voiceover kind of talking about the rules,
Mm-hmm. Because we left off with us crossing into their territory, so
which they actually didn't see because they weren't there, but hopefully they'll explain that. And then we see Rosita with her baby, and she does not look happy.
nope.
I'm thinking it's because the baby hasn't let her sleep in days. No, she actually looks more distressed than that.
As baby. Yeah, it kind of looks like somebody maybe died, like Sadiq or Who else was she? She was dating what's his name? Who was supposed to be dating Maggie?
Gabe. No.
No,
What?
I can't remember who she was dating.
She was dating Gabe. And
Oh,
Spencer?
yes, yes, yes. Well, okay, so she's dating Gabe, and then they also show Gabe, and he appears to be behind bars.
I don't know. I think he's probably just talking through the bars. I don't think he's behind bars.
He kind of looks like he's in the cell.
Nah, I don't think so.
Hmm.
I could be
Okay.
totally wrong, but I don't think so. And we see, so since we're talking about Sadiq, we see what looks like Sadiq's head being held underwater. Did you
Well,
catch
and
that?
yeah, I also caught that, like, he kind of looks like he's having a panic attack at some point, too.
That's because the baby hasn't let him sleep in days.
I would hold my head underwater also.
Me
So
too. I would be begging you to hold my head underwater.
I don't know if I caught the underwater thing, but I'm just wondering if he has some PTSD from being held by the Whisperers or what's going on. But you're right, maybe it is the baby.
Then we see, and now we're not in any real order. I'm just looking at my random notes.
Nope.
We see Judith holding up a Whisperer's mask on the end of a stick.
Mm-hmm. She looks pretty shocked.
Mm-hmm.
We also see Michonne in a new relationship with the king.
We see Michonne kissing Ezekiel once. We don't know what that means.
It doesn't look like a peck on the lips.
It
Like
does
they're
not
friends.
look like a peck on the lips. They look
No.
pretty snuggled up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And I
agree.
know there was trouble in paradise with he and the queen, but damn. And of course, this is Denai Guerrera's last season with us.
All right, and we saw sailboats, and we saw a boat at a dock, and I'm telling you, that's how they send Michonne off in the comic books.
Hmm.
She goes out to sea. She goes with an ocean-faring community.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if that's how we're going to see Denai leave the series.
Okay.
We have a quick Donnie moment. Daryl and Connie.
So I did see an article where they did talk about the possibility of a relationship with a budding relationship with Daryl. So we've all been rooting for him and Connie. So I think that's going to happen, and I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it too.
Yeah.
I think, there's certainly with the talking back and forth with he and Carol, the teasing back and forth, they're definitely pushing it into more of a friend zone, brother, sister.
Oh, yeah. But she's always going to tease him about. We just rewatched that one episode where she's like, you want to make out? You know?
Yeah, but this is like, what are you, 10?
Right.
Do you want to be girlfriends and have matching bracelets?
You know what? Why don't we just sit here and eat and not talk?
Right. Another comment. Oh, go ahead.
I love those two.
Another comment that I wrote down about the trailer is they did a different take on the music, on the theme music, and it was so good.
I didn't notice. I'm gonna have to go back and re-listen.
It was really syncopated and it was really edgy, and I just loved the way that they reinterpreted the main theme. It looks like there's going to be lots of really good action moments.
Yeah. Aaron's new hand is pretty awesome.
Yes, the mace hand.
Yeah.
All right, which brings me to probably everyone's favorite moment of the trailer, which is peanut butter meat jelly.
That was really good.
That was great. That's going to go down as one of the great lines of the series, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, and there is a still that I'm looking at of Negan having blood splatter across him, so he sees some action.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also see Eugene duking it out with some walkers, and Rosita teasing him something about, I think, him getting tired or something. And
Right, him saying, I could go all night.
Yep.
So it ends with a shot of Michonne holding what looks like Lucille.
Yes. So Negan did tell her that they were more alike than she thought, and maybe that's the way she dispatches Alpha.
Oh.
Because language warning, spoiler alert, Carol says bitch has to die. So maybe that's how we take care of Alpha.
Well, like I said, I don't see them pushing the Whisperers past season 10. So,
I don't either.
do you know how Alpha dies in the comic books?
I don't.
Spoiler alert for a series that's now over. Um, I'm not going to spoil it, but I will just say that it will be interesting to see if it plays out differently.
Hmm.
All right, moving away from the trailer. So, the worst kept secret since Andrew Lincoln was leaving the series, Denai Guerrero confirmed at San Diego Comic Con this is her last season.
Yep.
I'm not sure why they felt like they needed to have a big formal announcement because we all have been talking about that for months now. But
Right.
okay,
I didn't know that it was like not confirmed because I think we just all sort of knew it.
right. The Rick Grimes movie got a just like a 25-second trailer.
Yeah,
Did you
that
see
wasn't
that?
even a trailer.
So
Yeah.
basically, the only thing you really see is the helicopter with the interlocked circles flying into a skyline. And the Philadelphia Inquirer had an article that said that the silhouette closely resembles the Philadelphia skyline. So there's speculation that it's going to be set in Philadelphia.
Hmm.
And
Interesting.
so there's been all this talk all along about how the movies were going to be released for television. And now, no, we come to find out that AMC is releasing the movies into the theater with Universal Pictures.
Right. I that was unexpected.
I think it was unexpected for a lot of people.
Yeah, I it's going to be weird to see a Walking Dead property in the theater.
Okay, either you're going to have to fly up here and we'll go to a movie together, or I will fly down there and we'll go to a movie together.
It's probably more likely that one of your theaters up there will get it, but I
It's
don't
The
know.
Walking Dead.
I don't know. There's some stuff that just doesn't come here.
Surely even teeny tiny Juno would get The Walking Dead.
One would hope, but GCI stopped carrying AMC like 2 years ago, so all of us who still watch Walking Dead properties have to get them via iTunes and we can't even pay for the AMC All Access or AMC Prime or whatever it is because GCI won't allow us to access even AMC's website.
Oh, right, because you have to be a subscriber via some sort of network before you can buy AMC Prime.
Right.
Yeah, not fair.
So there may not be a lot of Walking Dead fans left in Juneau.
Oh, I think there are plenty.
Yes, I'm sure there are plenty getting their AMC properties via other means.
Exactly. All right, next item in Whisperer's Corner, Lauren Ridloff was cast as Marvel's first deaf superhero.
Yay!
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So she is going to be in the Eternals, and she is starring alongside Angelina Jolie, Kumail Nanjiani, and Salma Hayek.
What a great cast.
And props to Phil, thank you. So apparently Makari, the character that Lauren Ridloff is playing, is actually a guy in the comic book series.
Right. He said that was probably going to cause a lot of butt hurt.
Yeah, I was going to say heartburn, but butthurt works too. Anyway, I'm looking forward to it. I'll go watch it.
Definitely. Definitely.
Quite a leap from a school teacher to suddenly being cast in a Marvel movie.
That's what The Walking Dead does to people's careers.
Right? Phil said that
Yeah.
they do like to poach actresses from The Walking Dead, don't they?
Yeah.
All right, next up, Gimple says that CRM is not the Commonwealth.
Okay.
So we have been kind of led to believe, and I've been buying in all along, that they really look like they are the Commonwealth, and apparently they're not.
Well, and that leads back to the whole there's a much larger world out there, and there's probably a lot of groups that are like the Commonwealth or are, like CRM, in that they've managed to not only survive but thrive. We've got helicopters and snazzy matching outfits, and
So it definitely makes me wonder who they are and if we're going to see the Commonwealth at all.
I don't know. Maybe not.
Okay, next item. Jeffrey Dean Morgan told comicbook.com that there has been discussion of a Negan spinoff movie.
I did see this one.
Mm-hmm.
That is so surprising.
He was pretty funny. He's like, they need to make it happen because I'm not getting any younger.
Yeah, he's like, I can't be young Negan forever. And then they talked about Austin Emilio could reprise his role without the burn scars.
Oh, I missed that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So we could lead into the whole Saviors thing and see Austin Emilio without having 4 hours of makeup.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. A brief detour into the Forbes reviews. So Eric Kane.
Oh, you did find him.
Yes. Called the mid-season finale for Fear the Walking Dead predictable and boring. So he said that the series has failed to offer up a compelling fifth season, failed the characters, failed the cast, and most of all, failed the audience.
Once again, I can't entirely disagree with the guy. I mean, the reason why it's become a thing is because the first review we read from him was so off base. But, he makes some good points.
I think the place where I really agree with him in that series of complaints is going back to feeling like they failed the cast because they have such an excellent group of actors right now. I mean, they've got internationally known actors like Ruben Blades.
Right.
And they are just not serving them up good plot lines at this point.
Right. And there's no source material. So there's no one to say, well, it's not like it was in the books, or this is a complete departure from the books. So they could really do anything with this cast, and they choose to do this.
I mean, this episode was definitely better, don't get me wrong. And we'll talk at great length about how much better it was. But yeah, so the other reviewer, Paul Tassi, said, and so ends Fear the Walking Dead's most baffling half season ever.
Mm-hmm.
He called it bizarre and oddly happy.
I agree.
Well, and I kind of liked his description of how the writing process must have went. He said, they basically threw darts at the wall and built a story based on what they hit. Plane, nuclear plant, kids.
There's actually an episode of South Park where I think CBS, that's how they're choosing their storylines, and I think it's right around when that newspaper was that they had a drawing that depicted the Prophet Muhammad, and it was the episode that it's the only episode on Comedy Central that has ever been censored because Matt and Trey put a depiction of the Prophet Muhammad in the episode, and Comedy Central went, yeah, no, we're not going to do that.
That was a French magazine, and I can't remember the name of it for some reason.
Yeah, it's a name of some sort. I can't remember.
Something Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie Hebdo.
Yes.
So one of the ways that they decide how to put things in an episode is these like manatees or something bring these balls to the surface of the tank. Then the balls have stuff written on them, and of course that's how they come up with the Prophet Muhammad. But I was just envisioning that when I read this review is, that's how they come up with stuff, is it's just completely random. It's manatees, playing with balls with stuff on them or throwing stuff at a dartboard or, I agree.
Well, and to the biters who are still out there with us, I'm sorry, we're going to talk about Eric Kane. I can't even get the guy's name right. And Paul Tassi every time we do Whisperer's Corner from here on out.
Yes. I either completely disagree with them or I completely agree with them, but I find their reviews funny and insightful nonetheless.
And
Um,
despite their reviews, Fear the Walking Dead has been renewed for season 6.
it has,
That was announced by the cast at San Diego Comic-Con.
which is no surprise. I mean, it's what we were top 3 this week, so into 18 to 49-year-olds. So, I mean, of course they're going to get renewed for season 6.
I I'm not gonna say I wasn't surprised.
No.
I'm not gonna say that I didn't think that there might be a chance of them getting canceled.
Hmm. I did love the one thing that Eric had to say about this whole season so far. He said the whole season would have been much more interesting if it had been about the residents of Terminus, another group widely advertising sanctuary to help that they would provide strangers. Of course, they turned out to be cannibals, which is 1,000 times more interesting than Morgan and his lame group of do-gooders who can't even really do that well. That would be an interesting spinoff. The termites before they were termites.
Yeah, we got their backstory. We don't need it again. I'm done with Terminus.
I'm just saying, it'd be a lot more interesting than this season thus
Yeah,
far.
thus far. All right. Just really quickly before we talk a little bit about the Fear trailer for the second half of season 8. My God, I must be tired. Season 5. There was a little bit of clickbait at comicbook.com basically saying that Austin Emilio and Lenny James say that a return to the main show for their characters is, quote, possible.
Yes, which we have discussed this before.
Yeah, it wasn't a very substantive article. I mean, I really did feel like it was just click here. And I still don't see convincingly how they're going to match the timelines up again.
Well, and again, I'm sure definitely clickbaity, but they tend to sort of have these cryptic teasers. And honestly, how much really at this point does the cast know about the future of anything? Because I'm sure they don't get the scripts that well in advance. So,
They're just
it,
speculating.
right. It could happen, but it probably won't. Maybe. Possible, but not plausible? One of those.
Okay, so explain to everybody that there's two different trailers out there for Fear.
Okay, so there are 2 different trailers out there for Fear the Walking Dead. One of them we saw on The Talking Dead, and then there was one that was just released at Comic-Con.
Which is the one that I watched.
Right. So one of the trailers is for season 5B, like in entirety. And the other episode is for season 5, episode 9 specifically. So there are 2 trailers. If you have only seen one, you are only getting half the story. I wound up watching both.
I didn't watch the one just for episode 9. I watched the one for the general season.
And the only reason why I watched both is because you kept reminding me to go watch it before we podcasted. And so I was like, have I really seen it? Like, I feel like I've seen it, but I don't think I've seen it. And there was one that was just released at Comic-Con. So that's probably why a lot of people don't know that there's 2 out there.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know there were 2 out there.
Yep. So you watched the one for the entirety of season 5B, and you didn't watch the one specifically for episode 9.
Correct.
Which there's a lot of the episode 9 in the trailer for season 5B. So it's just a little more in depth for the episode. You're not really missing that much, but you can go watch.
So I will say the one thing that I really took away the couple of times that I watched it through, we see more trees decorated like the tree that Dwight and John saw in this episode.
Right. So
Which
that's
kind
gotta
of
be a
makes
thing.
me wonder if that's the continuation of the Sherry storyline.
I have mixed feelings about this. So there was the whole stop looking for me. This is my last letter, blah, blah, blah. And then she starts writing on trees. I don't believe it. I don't see it. I don't know. I'd like to think so. I mean, I'd like to think that she's still leaving him clues or messages, and that we'll get some sort of finality with the Sherry storyline, but I don't know. I have a feeling it's not her.
I don't know. They're leading us to believe that it is.
They're leading us to believe, but I don't know. We had another person that was putting messages and on places with nice handwriting, and she turned out to be the filthy woman. So you never know.
So, some other things that we saw in the trailer, there was a callback to, quote, someone who helped me from
Hmm.
Morgan. And I was like, at first I was like, oh, that's Eastman. Then I was like, no, it's Rick. Could be either.
Yeah.
We see Dwight get some interesting pairings. So he's paired with Sarah at one point, and it looks like he's riding shotgun in the truck.
That looks fun.
Yeah. And then we see him playing chess with Salazar.
Those two would be an interesting couple because Dwight is the victim of a torturer and Salazar was a torturer. So that's an interesting interaction.
Well, so the thing that I think is that they talk about Dwight getting a haircut, and there
Right.
actually was, I think we might have seen him clean shaven at the very end of the trailer, and so I'm wondering if that is the link between him and Salazar.
Okay. I could see that.
And
I was
probably, oh, go ahead.
I was actually just reading like a big long wiki on Salazar's character because I can't remember when Alicia and Daniel last saw each other. I feel like it was before the ranch, right? Like the last time was they knew each other was alive because they saw each other at the dam before it exploded, but they didn't actually interact at all during that season.
You know, I honestly don't remember the last time they saw each
Because
other.
she ran up and hugged him like, it was her long lost uncle or something. And I'm like, wait, how did they leave off the last time they talked? And I can't actually find where they last actually spoke. Kind of went back and did a quick through season 3 and season 4, and I couldn't find anywhere where those two had actually interacted in those seasons.
I
So
I honestly don't remember.
So I think it'll be interesting in season 5B to see if any of that's talked about, as well as how all of our new characters and our old characters interact. Because, of course, we saw Morgan teaching Alicia the bow staff.
Yes, that was good.
Hmm.
We looked like we had some really good zombie moments.
Yeah, exploding zombies.
It looked like we had a couple of new characters.
Well,
The girl on the horse,
oh, that's right.
and then
With the
there's a
terrible
guy
hat.
with a terrible hat, and there's a guy who's either in a window or a doorway. I couldn't really tell which.
Hmm.
And he's facing off with some zombies. He's behind
I
glass.
I feel like we didn't see a lot of the kids. Did
Oh,
you?
yes, we saw the kids.
Okay.
I thought of you and Steve because the kids are still here.
Okay. I blocked it out.
And the kids are
But
all right. Oh my God. So the thing that I do have to say is that god awful song from the 70s. I'd really like to see you tonight. Why did they use that in the trailer?
okay, I
Talk about what a
had this
horrible earworm.
okay, and I had this like it had this weird effect on me that it was like putting me to sleep. Like I had a hard time paying attention to the trailer because I kept drifting
Oh, it was total
because of that
70s
song.
easy listening porn. It was horrible. It was horrible. Oh. I do not know what that choice was, especially because they made such an inspired choice with this episode,
They did.
which I will go into.
Okay, good.
Anything else you want to say about the trailer?
So the trailer for episode 9 is at the end of episode 8. A woman tries to contact our group but gets interrupted by Logan. She contacts them as like, I didn't think you guys were legit, but I saw your plane and I need your help and blah, blah, blah. Well, it turns out, and there's been a lot of controversy online. This looks like an episode that's told almost entirely through Al's lens,
Yes, it does.
a found footage episode. So a lot of people don't like that. I think it kind of looks interesting as long as it's really just a one-off. But it kind of sounds like they go to help this woman, and she is trapped in her house because her husband or whoever left and hasn't come back for whatever reason. And her entire house is surrounded by landmines, and she doesn't know how many or where they are. So I don't know, release a herd of walkers and be done with it, I guess.
It seems like
That,
a good way to set off landmines to me.
but then, of course, that sound would just attract more walkers.
Good
And
point.
yeah, yeah, I guess I didn't think that solution through. Good thing I'm not, you know, I'm not the idea person in the zombie apocalypse right now. But yeah, so that will be interesting because there's been a lot of controversy about the found footage style episode.
I do have one more thing to say about the main trailer, the SDCC trailer. I would give anything to hear Garrett Dillahunt say delicatessen again.
Oh my God, yes. That I don't know why that struck me, but I was like, one more time. Say it again. One more time. I just that the way that he pronounced it. Yeah.
He can't articulate his way through half of the first season, but he says the word delicatessen clearly and really in a very amusing way. I don't understand.
Yeah, it was like with this southern eloquence that is rarely seen, because we've complained about his speaking before, that he's kind of like Boomhauer in that he mumbles and sometimes it's hard to understand him when we need subtitles, you know. I think a lot of AMC shows need subtitles because, you know, we need subtitles for Preacher every once in a while. But yeah, I just, for some reason, delicatessen struck me also.
It
Also
was a
because
great moment.
yeah, it definitely was. If you have not watched the trailer for season 5B, watch it and listen for delicatessen.
All right, let's get this bear in the air. Tell me what your good is.
Oh, so my good is Logan might not be the villain we thought he was. All season we were like, wait, we used this big character and for one episode and we're never going back to him, like, and I kind of want all out war with Logan's group or whatever's going to happen, just let it happen. Let's go back to Logan. And come to find out, he is not the leader of that group. And it kind of sounds like he's kind of at their mercy. So he's coming to our group for help, but it's a little more complicated than that because I don't think he's such a good guy either. I saw something where somebody described him as very Strand-like in that he has his flaws, but in the end, he tries to do the right thing. Sometimes it doesn't always work out. So he alluded that he has he flat out said he has a lot to make up for. So yeah, I'm very, very excited that he will be a regular member of the cast now, and that maybe because he isn't so villainous, he will stick around for a while.
So I was so excited to have goods that I had
Good.
two goods and he was actually one of them.
Oh, good.
And it was exactly the same thing. I was like, I loved that Logan was not the next big bad.
Yes. You know, I would have been okay if he was the next big bad, just because at least we would get to see some more of him. But I'm very, very excited for him to join our cast.
Well, it was so obvious to make him the next big bad. I'm glad they didn't go with the obvious.
You know, that's a really good point.
So maybe they are turning it all around. Maybe everything you thought you knew was wrong.
Exactly. They're just going to kill everyone off, and Matt Frewer's going to find some new people.
Except Alicia Debnam Carey.
Right?
She's
So
not
glad.
going to die.
Was that your other good?
That was my other good.
Yay! Because
So,
that was almost my good.
well, what I really said was I like the way she's playing it. She seems genuinely freaked out, but her acting is not overly dramatic.
Right.
And then I wrote down that I also loved her reunion with Daniel. I thought that was one of the really great moments of the episode.
I loved her reunion with Daniel until I saw Charlie's reunion with Daniel. And then I was like, I love that one more.
So, do you remember that you called that Charlie was the new Ophelia?
Yep.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I totally remember that. And I love that they pointed out that he saved his records.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They've got that to bond over. But yeah, I wanted to make the Alicia is okay my good, but I have seen some headlines where they have talked about, well, maybe she's not out of the woods yet. Because, we don't exactly know how much exposure she had. And so the nuclear physicist in me did a little digging and read a Vox article. And apparently we have got this whole decontamination thing all wrong. So
Enlighten us, oh great one.
80% of decontaminating yourself after being exposed to nuclear radiation is just taking your clothes off. I'm not even kidding. 80% is just changing clothes. The other 15 to 20% is taking a shower with regular water and soap. Because I was like, the thing that actually prompted me is when she was taking the shower and she had her mouth open. I'm like, that's probably diluted bleach water or something. Like, why do you have your mouth open? Nope, it's just straight up water. And it shouldn't actually be hot water because you're not supposed to irritate your skin.
Oh, that makes
So
sense.
radiation isn't actually just floating around in the air. It actually binds itself to particles in the air. So when they were talking about the winds have changed, that meant all the smoke and the dust and everything was headed towards them. So that's actually what you're exposed to when you're exposed to radiation from a nuclear fallout. And so just taking the contaminated clothes off, and you can actually usually wash them in regular soap and water, and they'll be fine. The things like the bow staff are a little more complicated because it's porous and you can't totally decontaminate it. The barrel of her machine gun that she is her pokey thing is metal, so it's not porous and it can be decontaminated. So doing a little digging, she may be okay. However, did she get the blood in her mouth? We've all been breathing nuclear radiated particles that have been in the air in the inclusion zone. So everyone has a little bit of exposure. Grace supposedly
and the other
has
thing that I would point out is that they're all wearing clothes that
right.
that they have been in consistently in the exclusion zone.
Right, especially those kids. I mean, those kids have
Yes.
had a prolonged exposure.
Yes.
So it's not just floating around in the air. It depends on how much dust that, maybe it's the rainy season and they haven't had much dust in the air and it's fine. But all of us have had a little bit of exposure to it. All of us meaning in all of our group, not Diane and I. But so she may not be out of the woods yet, and our entire group may not be entirely out of the woods yet. So that remains to be seen. And total speculation, that could be the whole everything changes in season 5B. Maybe we get sick. I don't know. It doesn't look like anybody's sick in the trailer, but maybe that's a factor. And here's the thing. Alicia is kind of practical like me, and it's like, okay, I was exposed to radiation. I'm washing it off. I probably have some leftover radiation coursing through my body somehow, some way, somewhere. But I could totally be be bitten by a walker tomorrow, or some other group can come and shoot me in the head. So I'm not even going to worry about the radiation that I might have. You know, she's completely practical like that. So I think that's her kind of, she got a hot shower and she's relieved and we're moving on now.
I think she's still a little freaked out.
If you're not
I don't think Grace reassured her. And she hasn't read the Vox article.
exactly. And Alicia's like, you know, Grace is like, you'll be fine. And she's like, well, you don't know that you won't be fine. So I mean, it's a zombie apocalypse and we are escaping a nuclear inclusion zone. If you're not freaked out, you're not paying attention.
It just makes me think of one of my favorite Kate Bush songs. The lyric is, "Chips of plutonium were twinkling in every lung."
I have heard Kate Bush, but I don't know that I know that lyric.
It's a song called Breathing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
All right. You're bad.
My bad. So I'm going to be a total hypocrite between my bad and ugly, just warning you. My bad is that I'm actually very disappointed that all of us made it back on the plane. I really, really wanted the Dwight and John show. I wanted them to not make it onto the plane, and I wanted them to hightail it out whatever way Dwight came in, because they keep saying that all the roads are washed out or whatever, but Dwight got there, so he can get out. I was hoping that they were going to miss the plane and they were going to have to hightail it out of the inclusion zone via vehicle that has good gas, and that we were going to have the Dwight and John Dory show. And I would have just, you know, we complain all the time. We complain no matter what, but we complain all the time that, you know, our group is fractured and we watch an episode and it's like, well, this part of the group wasn't in that episode entirely. What are they doing? But I really, really wanted this quest to find Sherry. And then of course it would be the quest to find our group again. I really wanted that to continue with the both of them. And so, I'm disappointed at our too happy of ending, in that everyone made it on the plane in the nick of time and everyone made it out of the reaction, the inclusion zone with the reactor exploding just in time. And we all were able to land the plane safely. And so I'm kind of disappointed at how great it was.
It was oddly happy.
Yes, it was bizarrely happy. So, I mean, for that to be my bad, the episode was pretty good. You know, my bad was everything was too happy. This entire season so far
has been oddly happy.
Yep, oddly happy. So that was my bad. What was yours?
So my bad was also entitled, "Why I Couldn't Give It an A 4.5 or higher." And it's because there were lots of predictable moments.
Mm-hmm.
I forgive them, but there were lots of predictable moments. So I'm just going to say a few. The rig with the blackjacks was the one that started. The siren stops as soon as we see them leading the walkers toward the plant. Dwight and John's car stops at a perfectly awful time. But then they get to the plane anyway.
Uh-huh.
And the book The Little Prince reappears. Those are just a few, like, really predictable moments in this episode that, because it really did take such a predictable path, I was not able to say, okay, this is an A.
Right. Right. You know, the plane with the odd propellers worked, even though the propellers that came with the plane didn't work.
Right.
And, you know, Salazar drives up with Christmas lights just in time. And, yeah, there was a lot of predictable danger that was easily escapable or easily avoidable at the very least.
And a lot of coincidence.
Yeah. And that's actually been the season so far. We talked about that, I think, last episode, maybe the episode before, um, where June was saying, well, this was meant to be because why would you know where the gas was if it wasn't meant to be? And it's like, why would there have been a hole in the plane leaking all the gas if it were meant to? She kept looking at all the good stuff that was happening. It was like, well, for the good stuff to happen, we had to have all this bad crap happen. Quit focusing on the good stuff.
It's going to be my new phrase, stolen from Paul Tassi. Oddly happy.
Oddly happy. Yep.
All right. What was your ugly?
So again, I have to say that I am a total hypocrite in that I'm very, very upset that everything ended so well. But I am also very happy that we are all back together and at the denim factory. Because it set us up for season 5B. And we get a lot of really good pairings back together. The Alicia and Charlie with Daniel, June and John are engaged now. And I don't know. I just like, and Logan's coming into our group, and we finally got Wendell and Sarah back. We no longer have to kind of keep referring to them in single shots per episode, I loved when she ran up to Morgan and was like, Momo. I was like, oh God, I'm sure Morgan loves hearing that again.
And then Grace was like, Momo?
Right? So I am very, very happy because I feel this will drive the storyline further and in a better direction now that we're all together and we're all working together and we have all of these interesting characters that some of them know each other, some of them don't. They all kind of have their own things going on. I could totally do without the kids, having the new members, Dwight and Grace, are completely enough.
You're stuck with the kids.
I'm stuck with the kids. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the hypocrite in me. It's a good ugly. After having told you that my bad was that we're all together, my good ugly is that we're all together. And I think it's going to push us forward. I would have been totally okay if all of us would have been together except for John and Dwight. I think those two making their way back to the denim factory and also looking out for Sherry would have been some good side episodes for like 3 or 4 episodes. So that was my ugly. It was a good ugly.
My ugly was also a good ugly, and I'm actually just like with my good taking 2 because I was so happy to be able to have some good things to talk about. So the first you mentioned, and it was also very predictable, but it was really great, and I'm predictable in that I loved it. I loved the proposal. I was very happy to see that happen.
Yeah, it was about time.
It was really sweet.
And it was good timing. It was one of those things where I think he saw the Dwight and Sherry storyline, and it was like, I need to marry this woman. Like, I would search for her like I did before. I would search for her again like Dwight's searching for Sherry, and like, what else do you need to know that you need to be married to this person? If marriage is your thing, it's not my thing, but generally it is a thing with people. But yeah, I just like in a plane and we're not sure we're going to crash and I love you. And here's a candy wrapper ring because candy wrappers are our thing. And yeah, it was very cute.
I do have to say, this is not part of my good, but I wanted to mention this because it was in my writing potpourri. It was a bummer to see poor Dwight back there in the background watching it. I felt really bad for him.
Okay, that, and also when John and June were on the radio and basically kind of saying goodbye because John was like,
find something to live for and live.
And that's exactly what Sherry wrote to Dwight. Yeah. And they flashed on his face, and it was just heartbreaking.
All right, one other ugly, good ugly, and then we'll head into writing potpourri.
Okay.
So I loved the Charlie and Salazar reunion also. And I really felt like the lesson in Charlie and Salazar was actually a much better lesson than we help others, but we have to live too. The lesson is the most broken people can be healed and can heal each other.
Yes. Except for
That's
except for serial killers. All the serial killers we all the serial killers we talked about the episode are excluded from this statement.
right. Very good point. Nick's killer and a war criminal absolutely included. The American Predator not included.
Right? Right?
But that was my other good ugly, is that I just really felt like the lesson that we got from Salazar and Charlie was a really beautiful lesson.
And I think that's going to come into play because, like I said, I think Logan is going to be a very complicated character. He said that he wasn't like Clayton. Is that
Right.
the C in the CNL?
Correct.
He wasn't like Clayton, and that's kept him breathing, and he likes breathing. So it'll be another one of those where is he gonna turn out to be a good bad guy or a bad good guy?
I think you're right. I think he'll be complicated, which is just fine. We could use a little complication.
Definitely.
All right. Rotting potpourri.
Rotting potpourri. So I'm glad you brought up Daniel Salazar and his redemption and complication. Where did he go?
Thank you. That was in my notes not once, but at least twice. Where did he go? What was he doing? And did he actually finish it? Because he said he had something specific to do.
Right? And I think he either alluded to, or it was alluded to in an article, it had something to do with closure with Ophelia.
He did. He said something about closure with Ophelia. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah. Where did he go? Will we get to see that as a one-off episode? Will he tell that story?
Well, we had kind of talked about it being a bottle episode. I'm hoping that it is.
Me too. I would like to know more.
All right. So I thought the whole opener was really good. I really liked it. I thought it was a great setup for this episode. But one of the things that has stuck with me, and I actually sought it out, was the acoustic version of Personal Jesus by Depeche Mode.
Yes.
That was so good.
Is that the name of the song?
Yeah. So it's actually from an album called Violator. But the acoustic version is not on the album. At first I was like, okay, that's a Depeche Mode song. And then I thought, I was listening to it again and I thought, that's Depeche Mode doing their own song as an acoustic version. And sure enough, it's available on iTunes if you look for it.
Okay, like colloquial, I know that song as Reach Out, Touch Face.
No, it's called Personal Jesus. It's one of my favorite songs.
Yes, I love that song. When I started to listen, I was like, this is a really good cover.
Oh, yeah.
And is it not a cover?
No, it's actually
Depeche
them.
Mode?
Here we go.
Wow. I gotta go download some Depeche Mode.
It's
Excuse
so
me.
cool.
I'll be right back. Oh, yeah, I didn't think that was Depeche Mode.
I didn't initially, and then, like I said, I was listening to it again, and I was actually not watching the screen. I was off in another room, letting the opening replay again, and I was like, that is actually Depeche Mode doing their own song.
Oh, it's very, like, kind of, like, twangy country
Yes.
Depeche Mode, which is not the Depeche Mode I know.
So, early Depeche Mode, country punk. Country death song. Seriously, that's one of their songs.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my god, you don't know Country Death Song?
I don't know if I know country because, like, I did not know that was the name of Personal. Like, it's one of those, it was slightly before my time, and the only reason why I know about it is because I have cool older sisters.
Oh,
so
I'm totally wrong. I'm misliving my 80s. Country Death Song was the Violent Femmes.
Okay. Oh, see, that throws me too, because that doesn't sound like the Violent Femmes at all. That sounds the Violent Femmes.
That's Country Death Song. Sorry, we're totally reliving the 80s, but that song just Personal Jesus just got me going. I loved it.
That's funny. Yeah, I hats off to the music editor for this episode. That was a great choice.
Yes, I agree. Unlike their trailer.
Right?
Oh, it was horrible.
Yeah, like I just took my sleeping pill and watching that trailer right before we went to air, like I had the hardest time. Like I'm serious, I was drifting off. I don't know what, like there's a few songs that trigger that in me, and I don't know if it's some sort of like 1-2 beat that they have in them that I just like. There are some dogs that there's a wavelength, or there's some songs that there's a wavelength that will actually calm dogs. I think there's songs that do that for me, and that and one of the Linkin Park songs does it for me.
I will tell you that one half of the duet that did that song that was used in the trailer actually went on to become an award-winning country musician. Yeah. Ugh. All right. So the credits. Did you watch the credits scene?
I don't know. Did I?
It was the nuclear reactor and the alert siren.
Oh, yes. The opening credits. Yes. I did. I really hope they continue that. I think that's a fun thing.
I do too.
Yeah.
During the episode, there was yet another great ad for Preacher.
Yes. Oh God, it looks so good. Next season, final season, they're going balls to the wall. It looks amazing. Oh,
I hope it lived up to its promise. I still say that was one of the best premiere episodes of a series ever. That and Walking Dead proper are right up there with the two premieres.
So what's his name?
I don't know. Not reading your mind.
Seth
Rogen.
Seth Rogen was talking at Comic-Con, and he said that it took a lot to get the Tom Cruise exploding scene to go to air.
That's
for Preacher
hilarious.
Season 1. Yeah. They did not want to do it.
I'm glad they did it.
Me too.
All right. What else have you got in your rotting potpourri? Oh, while you're looking, I will say I thought Alicia had a really funny line. The nuclear plant's melting down, but I did just have a hot shower, so there's that.
Right? That would totally be me. Because that's there's two things I would definitely miss in the apocalypse. Excuse me. Feminine hygiene products and hot shower.
Both of which are closely related.
Right? Basically, I would miss basic sanitation.
Sorry, I'm drinking out of a cup and it's really rattly.
It's okay. I just started to get the hiccups. We actually we had to delay one of our last episodes because I had the hiccups. We had to delay it by like 10 minutes so I could get rid of the hiccups. And now I'm getting the hiccups on the episode.
Someone's going to have to come on and scare you.
Oh.
All right. June and Dylan. So I think that scene would have had a whole lot more power for me, and I would have liked her pep talk to him a lot more if we had not had pep talk after pep talk after pep talk this season.
I was actually thinking, I was like, I could have completely done without this scene in this episode and been fine.
But if the whole, like, I'm going to give you a great talk about how it's not all bad had not been what we have had for the last 7 episodes, it would have been meaningful.
Yeah, I agree. It's just, it's too much too late.
So we do get the reference here that Morgan wants to teach Aikido to Alicia.
Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, he basically says, I'm not giving a direct quote, but he basically says, someone helped me, someone taught me something that helped me. I'd like to teach you because I think it would make a difference for you.
Okay.
So it's not just the bow staff. I think he actually wants to teach her about the philosophy of Aikido altogether.
That's right. Okay. And I don't know why the movements always remind me of Tai Chi.
I
But I
can see
know
that.
that they're training with a weapon. And for some reason, what always comes to mind is there's an episode of Angel where he is teaching Cordelia with one of the bladed weapons, and they're doing the whole synchronized motion thing. And I don't know why I always think of Tai Chi, but Aikido. Okay, I accept that.
Okay, so a lame moment, a moment that I had a little bit of gripe about. Really? So Grace gets freaked out, backs the truck into a car, and they abandon the truck?
Right?
That truck would have totally powered through that. All
Okay,
you
so
had to do was give it a little more gas, and she would have gotten unstuck.
and here's the thing. I have actually been in that almost exact same accident before. It was at a much slower speed, and it was because I had a head cold. Go figure. And it wasn't any time now. I was actually driving my 72 Jeep Commando, and the thing is a steel tank. And I was pulling the wrong way into an angled parking spot because I was going to pick up a prescription at Fred Meyer's. And I hooked the back fender, back bumper, back quarter panel right over the wheel of some other guy's truck. Had
And
I
you
tried,
peeled it like it was a tin can.
almost, had I tried to keep going in the same direction, had I like thrown it in reverse, I forget what I did, but it was one of those things where it's like, well, I did that and it's not going to work. So I'm just going to go the other way and unhook she kept trying to back up, and she was basically dragging the car she hit. And it's like, go forward and turn the wheel in the opposite direction and you will unhook from that car. And the walkers are still like, about a quarter, maybe an eighth of a mile away from you. You have enough time. You can do this.
Oh, they could have
Yeah.
totally jammed on it with that truck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was completely not impressed.
That was way too quick of a snap decision. And for all three of them to be like, okay, I'd have been like, no, 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 we can still do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I definitely agree. They did not need to abandon the vehicle. And she should not have been like backing up so erratically anyway. She floored it and spun it around, and I'm like, you just had to back straight up, get past those two cars that had been blocking the road, and then you could turn around, do a 3-point turn.
Look, I'm terrifying with a horse trailer, but if I can back up with a horse trailer attached, she could have done that.
Right? I have like half depth perception when it comes to backing into spaces. I actually am never going to live without a backup cam on my vehicle ever again. But because I seriously, I do have one eye that looks in a slightly different direction than the other because our brother hit me in the head with nunchucks when I was a kid. just putting that out there. So I have an eye that looks in a slightly different direction. So my brain has actually turned off part of that eye so that I do not see double. Well, it gives you poor depth perception, which is why I can't go see 3D movies. But it also makes you a crap parallel parker. But I still would have done a better job.
Yes, absolutely. All right. I really liked the face-to-face between Sarah and Logan. And I liked the fact that she tried to muscle him into helping her with the runway.
If anybody could, which it didn't happen, but if anybody could, it would have been her.
Although I do have to say I was a little distracted by her perfectly colored hair. It's perfect. It's too perfect. It's kind of Al perfect.
What's funny is seeing her on The Talking Dead. My other half and I were like, oh my God, she cleans up so well. Not that she's unattractive on the show, but like just to see her with washed hair and in like a brightly colored shirt, I was like, She looks like she could be like Christina Applegate's older sister. Like she looks really good.
Well, her hair is amazing.
That's
And it
funny.
continues to be amazing through the ZA.
That's funny. She probably washes it with stale beer.
With
You can do
vinegar
that. It's
beer.
a thing. It adds nutrients to your hair.
I'll remember that.
The darker the beer, the better. Um, I loved Wendell saving the day. He talked about it on Talking Dead, and Mo Collins actually, if you watched The Talking Dead
Yes. She
and you
talked about
saw
being
her,
choked up.
yes, and she actually started to get choking up just talking about the reading the scene and the possibility of almost losing her brother. She's very, very attached to their relationship in the show.
Okay, they had me legit scared. I actually really thought there was a chance he was going to get
Oh,
munched.
yeah, I was like, okay, we've all complaining about nobody's
Yeah.
died this
And
season,
here
and
goes
now we're gonna
Wendell.
lose Wendell.
Yeah.
Yeah. And no, we underestimated you, Wendell. We are very sorry. You saved the day. You took out two walkers and saved the day. Oh,
And
and
managed to tell Sarah in the meantime that her beer was still terrible.
and this was better than the Marines.
Yes.
Yeah, I just, I love his wheelchair contraption, but I think we have found the near fatal flaw in it. He can't maneuver after he's impaled somebody very quickly.
Hmm.
But to have him point out on The Talking Dead, just I mean, it kind of actually makes me want to do it. It makes me want to clear some floor space in my living room and try and only use my upper body strength to pull the rest of my body because I mean, he's been in a wheelchair for a while, so he does have that upper body strength right now. But like, I still could not imagine having to drag, everything from my torso down
I
and drag it
really I really liked what the actor had to say about I am not the chair. I
Yep.
inhabit the chair. I use the chair. I am not the chair.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody had written in and said that their grandson was in a wheelchair and really enjoys seeing another person in a wheelchair. And Chill pointed out that he is like, I am not in a wheelchair. I use a wheelchair. The wheelchair does not define who I am. It is a tool that I use.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. There's for any of the crossover character listeners, the new season of Queer Eye for the Straight Guy is out on Netflix. There is an episode with a gentleman in the wheelchair. I think it's episode 2. If you have not watched and are planning to watch, please watch that one last. It is a very, very good, very poignant episode. And if you only watch one this season, I would recommend watching that one because it's an amazing episode. Guy was in the gang lifestyle and winds up getting shot and put in a wheelchair, and it's one of those things where it saved his life. Because he got out of gang culture and he started a non-for-profit for people who are in wheelchairs. And in the episode, they actually get him to talk to the man that shot him and put him in the wheelchair because he is out of prison. And it was amazing. So I love to see that sort of thing where people overcome their disability and basically, become more of a superhero than us able-bodied people.
I'm going to take you away from that very nice thought and dial us back to the nuclear cloud. All right. If I learned anything about Chernobyl, if I learned anything from Chernobyl, so when things like robots and machinery was deployed into a highly radioactive zone, lots of times those machines failed. Like they tried to clear the top of one of the buildings adjacent to the reactor of nuclear debris, and they tried using basically remotely maneuvered robots, and those
Mm-hmm.
died, and they ended up having to have human beings go and remove the debris.
Mm-hmm.
Our plane flew right over a cloud of radioactive debris.
Yeah, and I seem to remember also in Chernobyl that the one guy he was like, basically like, I'll send you to the gulag if you don't fly where I want you to fly. And the other
Mm-hmm.
guy's like, if you fly over that thing, you're dead anyway. So
Right.
turn this plane around.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little weird.
Yeah, I was a little bummed.
Yeah. You're supposed to avoid the nuclear particles in the air.
Um, what else? I thought Daniel Salazar got a good nickname from Sarah. He's now Dan the Man.
Skidmark did make an appearance in the season 5B trailer, so he's
He
sticking around.
did. Yes, he did. I was glad to see that.
And I loved on Talking Dead when somebody wrote in and was like, I want Dog and Skidmark to have their own show.
I did like that June had the strength to call it and say that they were gonna get on the plane and go while they were still expecting Dwight and Dory not to make it.
Hmm. And I actually thought that, like, okay, they're not going to make it. Like, this is, because that was my whole
I
thing, is
did
I was like,
too.
yeah, I was like, oh, they're going to make it back and it's all going to be a happy ending and blah. And then she's like, no, we have to go. And I'm like, yes, you do. Leave now.
Leave, it will be terrible.
In a really good way.
All right. Did you laugh that the three zombies who were hanging off of the back of the plane by the netting were the things that were too heavy? Because I thought about you and your suggestion that they were going to be throwing kids overboard. No, it was just the three zombies. And once they got rid of those, everything was fine.
I was so mad at that. So I think it was actually four zombies. They had two that
Oh,
were
was it
almost
four?
up, and
Okay.
then two that were being dragged. And the two that were up there, okay, we had just come off of John Dory hanging out the window of the car, shooting at the zombies. And then he gets on the plane and he's got his gun holstered. And Morgan had just gotten his staff back and he has it. And both of them are trying to like reach down with their feet or their hands and trying to unpin these zombies or get them off. And I'm like, you have a gun. You have a staff. Huh. Whatever shall we do?
It was
Which they
pretty
eventually
bad.
wound up doing it, but not after like three times of nearly getting bitten.
Mm-hmm.
And like they were just before that, they were just sitting there like they were gonna like let those zombies just fall off naturally. And Strand's like, we gotta lose some weight. And it's like, oh yeah, those four need to go. Duh.
That was the only dead weight, though. Wah, wah.
Right.
All right, did you catch
we
the...
didn't
Oh, go ahead.
we didn't even lose one kid.
No, we didn't. The kids, I wrote in my notes, the kids must have decided that the plane was better than a nuclear reactor. Did you notice that Al said that it was the prettiest thing she'd seen since the end of everything?
Actually, I went back and watched, and she said it's the second prettiest thing.
Oh, did she say? I missed
Yes,
that. I watched it twice and I missed that.
I watched it
Oh,
three
that makes
times
it even better.
because somebody else online, they thought that she said it ain't the prettiest thing I've seen.
Oh,
And so I went back and watched a third time, and she says it's the second prettiest thing I've seen since everything ended.
that makes the line even better.
Yep. Yep. Do you think that we will get to see Isabel again?
Oh, we've talked that into the ground. I think we'll see her in some way, shape, or form, but I don't think we'll see her in this, especially because now they've cut off the only real point that they have of connection.
Right.
CRM's not going to go back to that area now that the radiators or the reactor has melted down.
Well, maybe they'll move to a Denima factory. I Again, on the one hand, I would love to see Al have somebody she's interested in. On the other hand, sometimes people in the zombie apocalypse just don't reappear.
I think they've got too much of a good thing in Isabel to let the character go.
Yeah. But again, is she going to be just in the Rick movies or will we see her in Fear?
We've talked it to death.
Uh-huh.
All right, totally separate. I thought that the practical effect of the inside of the plane was a very good practical effect. I liked it. I thought they
Yes.
did it well.
Yes.
I did write down that I can't imagine Luciane is ecstatic about being back on a plane. I certainly wouldn't be.
No, not at all.
Did you notice that Grace's line about fixing your stick was a callback to Eastman?
I did not notice it, but I read somewhere
Ah,
that it was. So, and I tried to look at, I thought that, I was like, okay, did he have a bow staff and now it's a quarter staff, or did he have a quarter staff and now it's a bow staff? Well, it turns out they're basically the same thing, and just shortening it, I don't know if it makes it something else or if it's just a shortened bow staff.
she's just basically saying she got rid of the radiation.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But it's going to be a totally different feel for his
Right.
training.
Absolutely.
I mean, because it was at walking stick length. Now it's at like cane length. And so it could be an even better weapon, because one of the issues that I have with Michonne's katana is it's not a close quarters weapon. Like, you need to have a little bit of room to maneuver, a little bit of room to swing, a little bit of room to back up to stab. And sometimes when you're fighting in a hallway or underneath a truck or so, you don't have that room to fight. And so sometimes a shorter weapon is better. I think that you should have both, a long pokey thing and a short pokey thing. But yeah, it'll be a whole different training that he is going to have to go through. So he and Alicia, I guess.
I wonder if he'll find a regular size staff to use in training.
I don't know. I wonder if there's some way that he could add to his staff. If he could, like, bore out some of the middle and do an extension with another part of a staff or another piece of wood.
I don't think so. I think it would throw off the balance.
Eastman could do it. Eastman could fix it. Oh.
All right. Did you notice that there was very sweet Western music that played during the proposal?
I didn't.
It was pretty sweet.
I did like how the knocking of the teeth together was completely
Was
by
a real
accident.
thing. Yeah.
And yeah, they left it in. They just went with it. That made it even cuter. So are we going to see a wedding? Are they going to get like married?
I hope so. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah. Little backyard wedding. Do you think that she'll get a real ring?
I hope so. I think that's really important.
Yeah, because that candy one's, I mean, like, I would keep the candy one just as a sentimental thing, but it's not like it's going to wear forever. And are we going to go to a jewelry shop for a ring? Are we just going to start chopping down female walkers and seeing if they have a right ring size? Like, how are we
I
getting a
thought
ring?
Glenn's answer was perfectly good. That's what he did. I thought it was a great thing.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm all for recycled rings. That's fine. If marriage were my thing, I'm like, no blood diamonds. Get me a lab grown diamond any day, or one from an antique shop.
All right, little sister, we are closing in on 2 hours.
All right.
So anything else you want to say about the episode before we wrap things up?
I don't, but it was a vast improvement over the last 2 episodes. So I think we should stick with this writer for a while.
I think so too.
Good on him.
The one thing that I will say that we didn't talk about in talking is that Ian Goldberg actually confirmed that there is no end to Dwight's search for Sherry at this point, that it's going to continue.
Yeah, that's kind of a given, but I really have to hope that it will end. And I'm not even saying it has to end happily, but it has to come to some sort of ending, whether they find each other and she's moved on with somebody else, or they find her shambling corpse, or they find her body, or they find her. I don't care. I need this one to be wrapped up some way.
I'd like
eventually.
some closure too. Closure would be good.
Yep.
All right, a little bit of feedback on our page. So we had a reminder from Steve of Aim for the Head. Just a reminder, ladies, this week's meeting of the Cold and Dead Inside Club will be tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time and 6 Alaska Daylight Time. The topic will be There's No Room in the Apocalypse for Kids.
No, there's not.
And then Diane Lasorsa, Pedro Pelez, and Thomas O'Mara all agreed that being forced to watch Nosferatu was awful. It's actually been renewed for a second season too. Pedro said that.
Yeah, that's when Zachary Quinto comes in.
Oh, no, he's in this season. He's already in it. Oh, yeah, and it's awful.
Okay.
It's awful. It's terrible.
Okay, but the more awful people tell me it is, and I've seen episode 1, and I'm like, what is this? I still kind of want to watch episode 2 and be like, am I sure it's totally that awful? I'm going to keep watching this till it's over.
You have at it, little sister. You watch it for the rest of us. They're making another season just for you.
Just for me.
Just for you.
We're not going to podcast about it, I promise.
No, we're not. This is as close as it gets.
Yeah, we will totally rag on it on this show.
All right. Well, that's all I've got. We have talked and talked and talked again.
I do want to say that there is a video out there. I think it is Norman Reedus, the little girl who plays Judith, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan sitting on a couch being interviewed. And they show the little girl playing Judith the introduction to Negan when he comes out of his trailer and everything.
Oh, that's terrible.
Have you seen? And he's over there like covering her eyes, and he's like, she doesn't need to see this, and she's like, no, I want to see it. And they have like her reaction shot over the screen of the show. And, he's talking about like PP Pants City and, things like that. And she's like, and you see all the people lined up, and she's like, you just hear her little gasp, and she goes, oh, he's going to kill one of those people. and the person on the show doing the interviewing is like, actually, he kills 2 people.
Oh my God.
It's so adorable.
Okay, would you please post that to Biters?
I post that to Biters because she has never really seen the show before because she's too young to watch it. They didn't show her any of the gore or anything like that, but it was just like, because her and Negan have such a cute relationship on the show that it's like, he really was a bad dude. We swear, we're not just a jerk to him for no reason. But yeah, it's adorable. So I'll have to post the little clip of it to the page.
Very good.
Yeah. And I'll try to do that in a timely manner this week.
All right. And we will be back at some point. Well, the Cold and Dead Inside Club will have its same meeting time next week, but we're not sure what we're going to talk about. We'll surprise you.
It could be anything. It could be the Meg. It could be Nosferatu. It could be Good Omens.
I was going to say we still have to talk about Good Omens.
Right? You never know. We'll surprise you.
Yeah.
Yeah. TBD.
Okay. But
all right,
until
everybody.
Then,
just remember, take it one dead day at a time. All right, everybody. Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.